quello e un rischio dell'altro. Allora io devo informare il mio cliente del problema e lo devo fare subito. In ogni caso tutti i titolari sono tenuti a tenere un registro delle violazioni, ok? Delle violazioni. Per cui anche se non ho l'obbligo di notificarlo, in ogni caso io devo appuntare le eventuali violazioni che ho subito in un registro e dovrò esibirlo su richiesta al garante qualora mi faccia un controllo.
Ma se uno non è al corrente della violazione, se la fa responsabile, se la subisce responsabile.
L'obbligo è responsabile e andrà attentamente contrattualizzato nel contratto tra titolare e responsabile. Perché se il responsabile deve comunicarlo a voi, altrimenti voi non lo sapreste, dovete fare in modo che la responsabilità contrattualmente ricada sul responsabile. E in ogni caso considerate che i danni, il risarcimento dei danni all'interessato comunque è solidale tra titolare e responsabile. Poi il titolare si potrà rivalere sul responsabile. Però questo è un passaggio importante, grazie alla domanda, perché il rapporto tra titolare e responsabile va contrattualizzato, cioè ci deve essere un contratto che specifichi quali sono i rapporti tra i due.
Intendevo dire, se c'è una violazione dei dati, qualcuno ha preso questi dati, ma io non ne sono a corrente, in qualità di responsabile, un furto, un qualche cosa, come
Se la risposta è se c'erano delle dovreste aver implementato delle misure che vi permettevano di verificare le violazioni.
Diciamo che si è colpevoli due volte.
Diciamo che si è colpevoli due volte. C'è una responsabilità per mancata vigilanza. Quindi nella valutazione dei rischi voi dovreste anche individuare quali misure vi permettono di verificare immediatamente la violazione.
Scusi, non ho capito bene la differenza tra valutazione rischi e valutazione di impatto, posto che la seconda va fatta in determinate circostanze, no? Ma allora va fatta la differenza tra i due documenti.
La valutazione dei rischi è una valutazione del rischio generico, la valutazione di impatto è una valutazione è un'analisi del rischio in caso in cui il rischio sia elevato. Okay? Nello specifico
possono coincidere alla fine.
Possono coincidere. Certamente la valutazione di rischi è più ampia, è un insieme più ampio della valutazione di impatto, che è un sottoinsieme. Vi dicono di stringere, quindi cercherò di essere quanto più rapido possibile per chiudere. Nel rapporto con gli interessati dovrete stare attenti a verificare le informative che avete ad oggi e verificare i moduli del consenso, perché sono previste degli adempimenti ulteriori da scrivere all'interno delle informative e dei moduli del consenso. E un ultimo cenno lo faccio alla figura del responsabile della protezione dei dati, il DPO, Data Protection Officer. Allora è una figura del tutto nuova introdotta dal regolamento, non esisteva sotto la normativa del codice privacy, e il DPO è obbligatorio in 3 casi: quando il trattamento è svolto da un'autorità pubblica o da un ente pubblico, quando le attività principali del titolare o del responsabile consistano in trattamenti di monitoraggio regolare e sistematico di interessati su larga scala, e quando le attività consistono in trattamenti di dati sensibili. La larga scala è un grande contenitore in cui può entrare di tutto, quindi di volta in volta bisognerà capire che tipo di trattamento la vostra organizzazione svolge e se può rientrare nell'ambito dei trattamenti su larga scala. In quel caso sarà obbligatorio nominare il DPO. Il DPO può essere una figura esterna o una figura interna all'organizzazione, purché non in conflitto di interessi con l'organizzazione, e nel caso in cui si tratti di un DPO esterno deve essere ovviamente contrattualizzato il rapporto sulla base di un contratto di servizi. Vi risparmierò sui tecnicismi della larga scala, insomma. Cosa si rischia? Ci abbiamo alla conclusione. Si rischiano sanzioni amministrative e sanzioni civili. Le sanzioni penali sono rimesse alla normativa di ciascuna nazione. Le sanzioni amministrative sono distinte in 2 gruppi. Le prime sono quelle riguardano la violazione dei principi relativi al rapporto con gli interessati, quindi al consenso, all'informativa, ai diritti dell'interessato, al trasferimento dei dati, che possono arrivare fino a 20 milioni oppure al 4% del fatturato consolidato globale se superiore. Le sanzioni del secondo gruppo sono le violazioni degli adempimenti che abbiamo visto in capo particolare, possono arrivare fino a 10 milioni o al 2% del passato globale.
Fabio,
Quindi
posso interrompere?
sì, certo.
La parte più brutta è questa.
No, puoi parlare tu. Puoi togliere questo calcio.
No, proprio di questo preferisco parlare di altre volte. Siccome con i tempi siamo un po' stretti, magari abbreviamo sulla parte più brutta che magari nessuno.
Ho finito. Giuro che ho finito.
L'ente pubblico, questo va a cambiare azienda. L'ente pubblico che sanzioni ha?
Per l'ente pubblico può rischiare sanzioni fino a 20 milioni.
Pure l'ente pubblico
Sì.
non ha fatturato.
Sì.
Non va in percentuale sul fatturato.
4% e se si superano i 20 milioni di fatturato, cioè se si superano.
Al primo articolo sul giornale, una notizia che c'è la tribunale.
Scusi, l'ente pubblico c'è un altro problemino. L'ente pubblico c'è un altro problemino. Che l'AGID in Gazzetta Ufficiale ha pubblicato le misure minime per la sicurezza l'anno scorso e dal 31/12, se non sei allineato con le misure di sicurezza, minimo l'IT manager si becca il certo nazionale che mette in discussione la sua esistenza dopo la violazione. Quindi il problema per l'ente pubblico sono sì i soldi che paga, ma il fatto che lo Stato gli sta dicendo, proprio lo Stato in Gazzetta Ufficiale, una norma peggiore, cioè tu come ente pubblico devi avere delle norme minime di sicurezza, dimostrare che le rispetti. Se vuole le do i riferimenti di Gazzetta Ufficiale e tutto il resto.
Grazie. Bene, io spero di avervi chiarito un po' di dubbi.
L'organo deputato ai controlli chi è l'autorità garante? Nella fattispecie nel territorio di chi si avvale, da parte di finanza di chi?
Questo qua è ancora da definire, ma l'autorità garante avrà i suoi, darà certo può trattare le tecniche anche lui.
Non è detto che facciano questo
Non è detto che facciano molto però è anche possibile che succeda. Grazie a tutti.
Roberto, cominci tu?
No, parte lei. Buonasera. No. Provo a fare con la mia voce, normalmente c'ho il vocione e mi si sente. È vero? Allora ce la caviamo. Buonasera, grazie per essere qui. Per adesso il mio lavoro è quello di introdurre Jane Colding, che è il responsabile europeo per IBM della consultancy, cioè dei servizi di consultancy sulla privacy. Quindi lei guida il team in IBM che si occupa in tutta Europa di aiutare i clienti che chiedono consulenza a IBM ad affrontare le tematiche relative al GDPR. So, the stage is yours.
Thank you.
Sorry. His grandmother is from Sicily.
Vita, just outside Palermo.
But unfortunately, she understands something in Italian language, but unfortunately,
I can't speak it.
yeah. So,
The cut?
you can.
We will try.
The stage is yours.
So I will speak slowly. I know that it can be a challenge, particularly when we're talking about very exciting things like regulations. So I am responsible for the European Privacy Consulting practice at IBM. I work with global companies I work with medium-sized companies, I work with small companies, all of which who have their own challenges in addressing their GDPR compliance activities. So I'll talk a little bit about what some of the companies that I am currently working with and my team, what they're focused on, because I think from the last presentation, you got an understanding as to how much needs to be done, potentially, to comply with GDPR. There is a lot to be done if you are not an organization from a privacy perspective that has been sort of at the forefront of doing these things, or if you weren't sort of in line with the directive and you are taking a risk approach, you may have a lot to do. But let's talk about what some, oh, I think, we lost, oh, even closer? That's very loud to me. So I think as we see here, it is fundamentally changing the way a lot of organizations manage not only their people, but their processes and their technologies. GDPR is not just a security issue. It is not, when you think about GDPR and data protection, it means more than security. It means your organizational processes, right? It means how you manage your relationship with your customer, how you build and maintain that trust is all supported by what you need to do for GDPR. So it can be seen as a good thing, not necessarily a scary thing, but it's about your own journey there. And you as organizations decide what risk you're going to take, what you're going to focus on. And up above here, do you want to say anything, just in case people are not, I can keep going?
Not a problem.
Is everybody following me okay? Am I speaking slow enough? Okay, good. So of course, not everything can be done at once. And the GDPR gave a 2-year implementation period, which for some companies is a long time. For others, not even, 1 day in the grand scheme of their business and how long it takes to get things through, particularly when you're talking about changes to technology, okay? So what we are seeing from the clients that I'm working with are these following big focus areas for compliance, okay? The first one is understanding what personal data you have, where it resides, and how it flows within your organization. This is key, absolutely key to understanding what your risk is. Without having this knowledge, you can't make a risk determination. You can't create your record of processing, which I'm sure was just spoken about earlier. You can't identify what the applicable security measures are without understanding this. So you need to know your data. This can be done in phases, right? This doesn't have to be done at once, but you need to have a plan, okay? The second thing that they're focused on is their customer, the data subject, the people who own the data. And so ensuring that you have the proper consent to collect and use the data the way that you are. And making sure that you can manage any requests from that data subject. So if a data subject contacts you under GDPR and says, what data of mine do you have and what are you using it for? You need to be able to answer that question. You need to be able to find first and foremost, and erase the data if they ask for the erasure of their data. There are certain legal, ways around that, but for the most part, you need to focus on what your company looks like in the eye of your customer and in meeting their rights and their obligations, right? So organizations are very focused on consent management and data subject requests. Clearly, breach management, you've just heard about, the 72-hour notification period is not very long at all. And if you do have a breach and you have to notify the supervisory authority, it can be done in phases. You don't have to have all of the information at once. but you have to have a process in place to ensure that in the event of a breach or a threatened breach, that you make that notification. If there is a breach and it comes out in the papers and you haven't notified the supervisory authorities, from a public perspective, that looks very, very bad. And secondly, the supervisory authority will come in and they may fine you, sure, but they will more than likely audit what you're doing, not only with respect to breach and security of data, but all of your privacy practices, all of your compliance obligations, and that's not a place you want to be. So organizations are very focused on breach. And I put here Article 30 record of processing, and obviously the accountability and record keeping. I'm not going to go into any detail of that. I think you got a pretty good overview from what I could read, the little Italian that I can read. I think that was gone through. But let's talk about where companies are right now. Because some organizations would say, we're pretty good on compliance. We're pretty sure that we're going to be, maybe not 100%, but 90% of the way there. Most organizations aren't, okay? So I think if you think of the banks, right, they're heavily regulated already. So they've had requirements to deal with. And this is sort of a little bit more work for them to do. But when you talk about small organizations that have never really had a privacy policy, but never really reached out to their customers and asked for consent to use their data, it's a big journey for them. So what we're finding is, and what was found in an International Association of Privacy Professionals, an E&Y survey, was that 66% of organizations plan on taking a position that as of May 25th, 2018, that they're going to have a plan in place for compliance. They're not going to be there. They're going to be partially compliant. They would have started their journey, but they're not going to be finished it, but they have a plan to finish it. And that's what's most important. Between now and May 25th, we have 91 days, I think it is. That's not very long at all. So we'll see in a minute some of the things that we're suggesting organizations do right now, to things that they can look at right now, things that can change right now, but mostly how to build their plan. Because that's what will become important after May, is your plan. Any questions?
Any questions?
Questions?
Domande?
No? Good. Okay. So, it's easy to talk about what you should be doing, but obviously in a lot of what you need to do, there are challenges. And as I mentioned on the last slide, data mapping and inventory is one of the key things to do, right? You need that to understand your risk. If you're a small organization and you have 3 databases, that's a pretty relatively simple thing to do. If you are a medium-sized organization or a large organization, if you have a very complex network, if you have a number of third-party vendors that you work with, that map becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, as does your risk. So companies are really struggling in looking at what data they have, right? A lot of it could be legacy data that's been out there 5, 10, 15, 20 years in some instances. And so trying to find that data has become a bit of a challenge for them. Understanding the requirements, this is the biggest thing I get from our clients. It's like, we know that we have to comply with the law. Our legal department has read GDPR and said we have to comply with it, and has said we need to do a record of processing, we need to get unambiguous consent, we need to be transparent in our privacy notices. But what does that mean to me as the business owner? Right? That causes operational change. And how do you translate what the lawyers are saying, or your legal advisors, your third-party advisors, whoever it may be? How do you translate that into an operational plan? How do you make that part of your business, because every business is different, and that's a challenge. I think just in the interest of time, we'll go to the next slide. I've put here, and I'm not going to speak through it, I know GDPR is a very boring subject. I get to talk about it daily, which is not so fun for me, but it's a pertinent topic at the moment. From an industry's perspective, okay, there are two approaches. You have the opportunists who are looking at GDPR as an opportunity for them, an enabler. And that's very difficult to see in this, but I think a copy of the presentation will be made available to all of you. But as you will see, the opportunists are really the ones that are heavy regulated industries already. Banking, oil and gas, energy, telecommunications, etc. And so they're using GDPR to catapult their business, to find a way to gain the additional trust of their customers by saying, look, we're doing all of these things, including complying with GDPR. We take your privacy seriously. And you will see this from companies like Microsoft, right? They've got big statements about what they're doing. And they're looking at this as a way to gain additional customer trust. Okay? But then, of course, you have everybody else. Right? The small companies, the mid-sized companies, the large companies that are looking at GDPR compliance as a hindrance to their business. Okay? It's a, what do I need to do to comply? I know I have to comply. This is going to hurt. This is going to cost money. This is going to stop us from being able to contact. All of these things they're looking at in such a negative way, but you really need to look at it as an opportunity as to how you can grow your business and move from here to here. Because in order to compete in the market, this is where you're going to have to be, right? So fortunately enough, the GDPR is not entirely prescriptive. In some areas it is, but pardon me, for the most part, it allows companies to take a risk-based approach. And I think, if I recall from the slides that we saw in the earlier presentation, there was discussion about that. Right? Balancing your risk and making sure that you have, made an informed, pragmatic decision and that you've documented it. So if you ever have to explain yourself to the supervisory authority, you have a document that says, okay, we understood that we perhaps needed to go back out and get consent of all customers. But we identified these 3 major issues with that. We understand that we have to do it, we want to comply, here's our plan. That's okay with the regulators. Okay? I think this, again, I'm not going to go through this chart. This is something we put together for our clients, just to give them sort of a high-level understanding of the types of things that they should be doing now to prepare if they haven't already. And it enables you, as you go through and look at these questions in relation to your own business, it enables you to build a roadmap. And again, this is incredibly important. So you need to do this roadmap based on a framework, and this is the framework that IBM uses. Okay? Assess, design, transform, operate, conform. Because GDPR doesn't end on May 25, 2018. It is going to be ongoing. Okay? So from these actions, you put them into your framework, and then you build a nice roadmap. Okay? Not all of your roadmaps would look like this, right? Not all things will be red. Some of the things you've already done, some of the things will be way out a year and a half from now, depending on budget or resource constraints, what have you. But you have to have your plan. And you have to have it documented. And that plan has to be based on a risk assessment. And that risk assessment has to be based on the data. So you see the flip. then just finally, I know that we had a couple of minutes and I've gone probably over now. Understand how it's going to impact your business. First and foremost, go to an external advisor, have an internal legal counsel, do it. You need to understand how your business is impacted. So you can make decisions based on, right, the risk to your business, not to your neighbor's business, not to the company across the street, to your business. Create and document your journey of compliance. We just spoke about that. Look at what's happening in the industry. What are other companies doing that are in the same industry as you are? Are they taking a particular type of risk? Do you as an industry want to get together and discuss, is this the approach that we as an industry feel that we should take? Again, prepare for your journey. Most importantly, consider the use of external advisors if you don't know. Go to legal staff. Go to consulting firms. It doesn't matter who. You need to know. Okay? You need to have that understanding. If you don't, the supervisory authorities are going to question, what have you been doing? Do you have no intent to comply? And of course, look to technology to assist. There's technologies out there that will enable pretty much all things under GDPR. This I know because we've done a mapping of all of them. So think about your business, think about your risk, think about your journey, and the best way you can get there. Okay? Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? Yes?
You manage a global area, including countries and potential customers. So, from your point of view, which is the country in Europe that has been proactive or is ahead versus the end of May?
So I would say there's two ways to respond to that. So I don't know if you all heard the question, which is the country in Europe, which is farthest ahead. Germany has always been the country, right, that's been closest to the most stringent data protection laws in the world. Okay? So the journey for the German companies isn't that far of a journey because they were well along their way anyway. I think the important thing isn't to ask what country, I think the important thing is to ask which industry, right? So you have the banking industry, which is like Germany, and you have perhaps, agriculture, you have manufacturing that are probably, on the other end. Because they're, B2B for the most part. But the important thing is to remember that those organizations have employee data. And employee data, right, is covered by GDPR. All right. Well, thank you all very much. Next time, I hope I'm able to come back and speak a little Italiano.
Okay.
Other than mangia.
But also, I asked to Jamie, that has a family home here in Sicily, that on the first big deal, she will invite us to eat a pasta there.
I will not cook the pasta, I promise.
Okay.
Okay. Grazie.
Sì, fammela partire. Intanto che fanno partire la presentazione, mi dicono che nella cartellina a marchio Elmi c'è il form di valutazione dell'evento e quindi se volete incominciare a dare dei voti, chiaramente se possibile a me il massimo, sulla fiducia e comunque i vostri commenti sarebbe molto gradito. Bene, cerco di recuperare un po' di tempo, però sapete perché la Germania è quella che è più avanti? Perché noi abbiamo iniziato da un anno ad avere i nostri universitari che si occupano di security, che fanno libri come questo, che è appena stato rilasciato ad un evento del CINI a Milano 2 settimane fa, e che io vi invito ad andare a scaricare dal sito del CINI. Il CINI è l'associazione degli universitari che si occupano di security, e che racconta un po' i dati di come è andata fino adesso e di quelle che sono le cose che ci stanno arrivando addosso, e lo racconta in una maniera molto molto semplice da leggere, e per la prima volta introduce dati della Banca d'Italia su quello che è successo durante il 2015 e il 2016 anche in Italia. Bene,